if you're in the chat, let me know that you can hear me. I hate setting up these live streams. Nothing ever works. It always goes wrong. Something always happens. So if you can let me know, we can get started. We can watch the markets fucking burn. We're all good? You can hear? Brilliant. So I hope everyone's alright. First, I mean, I'm guessing everyone's not alright, but I hope everyone is doing well given the circumstances. Crypto is looking pretty damn miserable at the moment. I got my headphones. I'm going to take my headphones off. I don't need them on. Yeah, I hope everyone's well. Martin says, I feel sick to my stomach. Yes, Patrick, voice of a Schiller. That's me, Mr. Schiller. The monkey Schiller. All good, all good. Brilliant. So yeah, man, the crypto markets are getting absolutely... Oh my god, Luna's mooning. Oh, look at that pump. It's mooning. This is what we all waited for. It is up 300% from the bottom. Now who's laughing, eh? Do Kwon's got the last laugh. Is it too loud? Let me know if it's too loud because the microphone's quite close to my face, so I'm hoping it's not. I'm not shouting too loud. But yeah, Luna has been on an absolute dumpage recently. Last 3 days, we'll call it 3 days. This has been an absolute... I mean, this is a bloodbath. It went down 99%. This is pretty terrible. I'm going to shut my windows. 1 sec. Okay, we're good. So yeah, Luna has been doing pretty damn terrible. I'm guessing everyone has already noticed that. The UST depegging. What is it at right now? Let's have a little look. UST is still really bad. I mean, 39 cents. This is pretty catastrophic for the stablecoin. 39 cents. Yeah, the chart's not even low. Even trading views like, I don't even know what to do today. I don't know what we're doing. Everyone's checking the charts. I tried to go on CoinGecko a minute ago and that packed up. That was like, nope, we can't do that either. So everything's breaking. Now look at this. For a stable coin, you had one job, to stay stable. And whether you want to call it an attack or whether you want to call it just a failure in their mechanisms, this is outrageous. So to break down from $1 all the way down to at its lowest for a stable coin to be 22 cents is ridiculous. 39 cents. So Luna's actually outperforming the stablecoin right now, which hasn't been the case. Luna's just been getting crushed. Kind of feels like they're sacrificing Luna for the stablecoin, which sucks for everyone, really. I mean, I should probably say, like, I feel so bad for anyone who's been caught up in this in regards to Luna. I mean, everyone's getting caught up in it now because the entire market is getting smashed. Not just because of Luna, for a variety of reasons. We'll talk about it, but for anyone sitting in the Luna ecosystem, no one could have seen this coming. I mean, there were some people who already had the opinion that, you know, Terra and UST and everything was kind of a Ponzi, I guess. But I don't think anyone saw this happening. I mean, 3 days ago, we was at $66. Earlier in the week, we were at $80. And for Luna to be sitting at $1.60, $1.50, I don't think anyone ever saw that coming. So I imagine there are a lot of people who were sitting in Terra. I know there are a lot of lunatics out there who have a lot of their money either in Luna itself or in UST stablecoin or just in the Terra ecosystem. And to see those people get absolutely destroyed, and I know people who are in that ecosystem, and I speak to them a lot, and seeing what they're going through right now is, I just wouldn't wish it on anyone. It's really fucking bad, because their net worth has just been wiped out in a matter of a couple of days, and that is fucking awful. You know, unless it was your worst enemy, you wouldn't wish it on a lot of people. So it truly fucking sucks. And my heart goes out to you guys, man. And take a day or two, don't do nothing stupid, because I know the space tends to crank up those emotions. So I really do hope that you're doing okay given the circumstances. And look, there's always a chance to bounce back one way or another. So hopefully people can regroup after this. Yeah. Had says it was 93p before. 93p? What, Luna? 93p. I'm from UK, but I never do my charts in pennies or pounds. It's all in dollars. I get too confused. What was the selling point for Luna besides Anchor? Well, it was the depegging, wasn't it? I mean, the USD depegged. It's so. I mean, who was it? There was a. Let me see if I can find an article. But someone speculated that. I mean, there's been a lot of speculation around it, but that this was a coordinated attack. Some people are saying Citadel. Some people are saying it's other people. But people are saying this is a coordinated attack. I might have actually retweeted it. So let's see if we can find it. We'll walk through it. There we go. So this was an attack by higher ups. Everyone is talking about the UST attack right now, including Janet Yellen. Very muddled words as well. I'm not one to speak, but she did not sound like she knew what she was talking about. So, story starts in late March when LFG starts buying Bitcoin to help back UST. LFG started accumulating Bitcoin in March. $1 billion BTC position. This leg, number one, that made this trade brilliant. The second leg comes in the form of the 4-pool Frax announcement for UST on April 1st. This added the second leg needed to help execute the strategy in a capital efficient way. Liquidity will be lower and then the attack is on. So we had someone actually messaged, someone had actually put a tweet out saying that this was going to be possible, that someone would be able to attack the entire protocol and take down Terra Luna UST with $1 billion worth of capital. Do Kwon responded with basically calling the guy a fucking idiot and goading them on to say, come on, try it. I want you to try it. Now this is another problem that we need to get into as well when it comes to Terra and Luna and Do. But we don't know when the attacker borrowed 100,000 Bitcoin to start the position. I mean, that's roughly around $4 billion. That's how the fuck you get a $4 billion loan. I don't know. Other than that, it was sold into Kwon's buy-in, still speculation. LFG bought 15,000 Bitcoin between 27th of March and April 11th. So let's just take the average price between these dates. So, got LFG, talking about their buying. So you have a $4.2 billion short position built. Over the same time, the attacker builds a $1 billion OTC position in UST. The stage is now set to create a run on the bank and get paid in your BTC short. In anticipation of the 4-pool, LFG initially removes 150 million from 3-pool liquidity. You can see that there. The liquidity was pulled on the 8th of May, and then the attacker uses $350 million of UST to drain curve liquidity. And we can see that here as well, liquidity being drained. But this only starts the depegging, down to 97 cents at the lows. LFG begins selling BTC to defend the peg, causing downward pressure on BTC while the run on UST was just getting started. And UST starts to break down. With the curve liquidity drained, the attacker used the remainder of their 1 billion OTC UST position to start offloading on Binance. As withdrawals from Anchor turned from concern into panic, this caused a real depeg as people fled for the exits. So it was just enough. So the initial selling was just enough to cause people to panic. And that's normally the case with crypto. That's pretty much what you're seeing now when you look at this. When you're seeing all of these, this is just panic. This is pure panic. People have seen others, you know, you get some bigger players starting to sell, then everyone else follows them through the door. And that's just how these things are not coordinated, but this is how these things play out. This is what happened here with UST. Quite clever. So LFG is selling Bitcoin to restore the peg while the attacker is selling UST on Binance. Eventually the chain gets congested and the centralized exchanges suspend withdrawals of UST, fueling the bank run panic. USD depegs to 60 cents at the bottom while BTC bleeds out. There we can see the plunge. Crypto communities panic as they wonder how much BTC will be sold to keep the peg. There are liquidations across the board and Luna pukes. So I don't actually know. Have they actually... maybe someone in the chat can tell me. Have they sold all of their Bitcoin now? I would assume they have, right? The Bitcoin reserves that they built up. If someone in the chat could let me know that. I would imagine they have, but at this point. There are liquidations across the board and Luna pukes because of its redemptions mechanism. The attacker very well could have shorted Luna as well. I mean, that would be pretty smart if you're going to do this play. Bitcoin fell 25% from 42k to 31k. How much did the attacker make? Speculation, but they are able to cover or buy back the entire position at 32k. That means they made 952 million on the short. And saying after costs, that probably would work out to about $815 million. And because Bitcoin was added to the reserves, liquidity was there to pull it off, while having LFG involved in Bitcoin and foreseeing they would sell to keep the peg, this was the kicker. Lastly, liquidity being low on free pool in advance of four pool allowed the attacker to drain it with only 350 million, causing a broader panic in both Bitcoin and UST. Any shorts on Luna would have added a lot of PL here as well, with it falling 6.95%. So that is kind of how it plays out. So Jamai, I assume it's fully depleted. Yeah, PR saying as well. Yep. So yeah, LFG had to dump their Bitcoin, and kind of what fueled this really. I mean, we're going back. When did this sell-off really start? On it was around the 8th, wasn't it? Let's get this out of the way. So yeah, around the 8th. We could look on Bitcoin. Yeah, around the 5th and the 8th. So that was the day really that we retested this channel that has been building since 2021 in January. So we had this channel, which was very important. I mean, you can see we went from 30k all the way up to 62, all the way back down to 30, all the way back up to 69. And then we were retesting it again for probably around like the 5th or 6th time. And every time that touches, every time we get a touch on that trend line, it gets a little bit weaker. There's less buyers every single time along the way. And it just so happens that it was perfectly timed. This Luna, if you want to call this a Luna play in terms of the shorting it and causing this crash, it was the opportune time to do it. And it was right on this candle here, right on the retest. And then we got to follow through the next day. So it's perfectly timed really. So Luna pretty much bringing down Bitcoin to the retest of the channel. And then we've had other forces at play to push it through as well. But Luna very much doing a lot of the work. Which just sucks, man, because you look at the entire market. I mean, alts have been having a hard time this year as it is. But look at stuff like NEAR now. I mean, NEAR today alone got pushed all the way down to $5.30. AVAX, look at these wicks, $25. KDA, $1.50. I mean, these are some huge drops. I think this is the Gate.io chart. I don't actually think this is working. There isn't an MEXC chart on TradingView. But yeah, A0 is about $1 now, under $1. So yeah, a complete carnage in the markets, all fueled really by Luna. And this huge crash. But we also had CPI news. Bitcoin back above 30k, so that's pretty good. Pretty good. In the circumstances, it's pretty good. DFY beats us. Seems like a good day to DCA. I mean, let me have a drink. It depends. It depends. I mean, if you're going to do anything in terms of, you know, buying back into the markets on these dips or crashes or whatever, then you would want a dollar cost average, absolutely. You wouldn't want to be buying in heavy on these big dips. Usual circumstances maybe, but given what's happening at the moment, there's so many variables at play. I mean, Luna doing what it's doing is one massive variable. CPI coming out higher than expected, even though it was lower than last month, huge variable. There's just so many variables across all markets at the moment. We've got, I mean, if you want to go by Leslie Grantham, we've got about 3 or 4 super bubbles. We've got the super bubble. We've got about 3 or 4 bubbles that are forming and near ready to pop. There's just so many variables. I mean, you could go in heavy right now on Bitcoin and thinking, okay, well, we are down from the top in November. We are down 50-60%. Now you would say that's a good opportunity to buy, but with all the variables that are at play at the moment and, you know, larger pressures, this isn't just a crypto thing. This is a global liquidity problem. Well, let's just say something comes out, CPI is higher next month, or one of the bubbles pops, something breaks. All of a sudden, we're going lower. We're going a lot lower. And going in heavy at that point, you might as well have gone heavy even higher. I mean, DCAing is probably the only option if you was to buy right now, to slowly buy on the way down and aim for a level once it's bottomed out to then go in heavy. Try at the moment, what we're doing at the moment, if you're buying right now, you are catching knives. That's what you're doing. You're catching a knife because there is nothing here to suggest that this has bottomed. There is nothing here to suggest it's bottomed. You look at every single chart, all of these charts, nothing has bottomed. We've gone lower, we've crashed down, and maybe you can catch a knife and get lucky. But that's all it would be. You would be getting lucky because there is nothing here to suggest that this is the bottom. You would want a nice round off or a retest and a kind of a rounding off to even suggest there's a bottom. That's when you want to buy, when you're in conditions like this, when you're in bear markets. Something like this. We had a big crash down. We found support on the 200 weekly MA. We had a nice little bounce off of it. We came back down. We had another bounce. We had a nice little rounding off, kind of like an Adam and Eve. And then we had the big move up. This is what you want to look for. And this is what happens when you get lucky. This was the COVID crash. So you could have bought here and got extremely lucky. Or you could have bought here thinking it was the bottom and got crushed even more. This just, you can't predict what's going to happen here. And all you're doing is catching knives and getting lucky if you happen to make a good entry in this market at the moment. I would look for a rounded off bottom. That's what that's what I would look for, personally. Ahad says, especially with inflation expected to go up more. Well, I don't know if it's expected to go up more. I think many people are predicting that it's peaked. But that doesn't mean it can't go up more. Again, there's too many variables. When we're talking about what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in China at the moment, and China's growth is slowing down a lot. What's happening in equities at the moment, what's happening with the NASDAQ, looks like it's turning over. It has turned over. So there's just so many variables at play that we just don't know. And it's always best in these markets, in these conditions, to preserve your capital. That's what I believe. You need to preserve your capital first and foremost, and then look for an opportunity to re-enter the markets. Not to say I'm fully out the markets. That's, I'm not saying I'm Mr. fucking perfect here. I'm not. Okay. But I do have a decent stablecoin position that I built up whilst we was up in the higher levels, and just when stuff had gone very high for me, when quant had gone very high. You know, I bought a lot lower, and when we were up in above the 250s, really, well, I'd say once we was above 200, I started selling positions. I started selling some to just put it into stable coins, because I believed that what comes after a bull market, a bear market. So you need to have some capital there so you can have some firepower when this happens. When you get markets dropping like this, you want to have some capital on the sidelines. NIR is actually recovering quite nicely on this crash here. It crashed all the way down to $5. We're up 58% since on this weekly candle alone. That's very impressive. Is this kind of what's... Look at that on the daily. That's lovely. What else we got? Let's have a little look around the markets. Let's not look at Anchor. Jamie says, I like my charts like I like my women, nice round bottoms. That was exactly what I was about to say when I laughed to myself. DFY Beat says, but isn't it comparable to last year's dip? I think April, May was horrible back then as well. Just other factors to blame than this year. The problem is, so this is the problem, okay? This is just my opinion. You may think differently, but this is just how I see it, okay? So, we had, this is the COVID crash, okay? Sorry, it's really, I've got the radiator on in my room. It's really hot and it's making my lips dry. So I need to moist them with some water. So, we had the COVID crash here, right? So since 2008, we have had excessive money printing, right? And you can see that in stuff like the NASDAQ. Let's just go on the monthly. If TradingView wants to work. So since 2008, we have had excessive money printing because in their eyes, they had to, once the markets crashed because of the housing market, they had to print excessive amounts of money. And since then, the money print has just not really been turned off. And you can see this in the charts, right? We're seeing this huge move in the NASDAQ, and you can go on pretty much any chart within equities, you know, the S&P doing the exact same huge moves, right? Bitcoin, obviously 2009, after the banking crash, after the housing crash, and which caused some of the banks to default, and the global crash, was born. So in Bitcoin's entire history, we have had nothing but bullish conditions. Now, Bitcoin has had its own cycles. We've had these kind of 4-year cycles that Bob Lucas would talk about. So we have these, you know, couple of years on, couple of years off, couple of years on, couple of years off. But that has only ever happened in extremely bullish global conditions where the money print has been on and everything has been going up. Like everything. The problem is, right now, since 2000 and where was I? What did I want to get to? This one. Since 2008, which is right here, and you can see it on the charts. This period here was extreme money printing. I mean, the Fed printed so much goddamn money. They printed like 80% of the entire dollar money supply in its history. And they printed it in this period. This fueled this entire run, okay? There's no doubt in my mind, this fueled this entire run. This was so quick, even if you look by previous standards. This run, look how long this took to get all the way up here. This was so quick. It was such a huge move in such a short amount of time. The problem is, once they turned the money printers off, and I know they haven't to a certain extent, but they have talked about quantitative tightening. Markets have slowed down everywhere. And you're seeing this rollover in equities, and you're seeing this rollover in Bitcoin. Double top, now you're seeing a rollover. The problem is, the Fed are talking about quantitative tightening now, right? So they want to, I can't remember what the exact numbers were, but it was something around 90 billion per month. They'll be selling $1 to $2 million. I can't remember the exact. Let's go find it. Let's go find it. I think it was TED Talks Macro. Let's see if we can find the exact tweet rather than me butchering it. It's always fun when you gotta go back and find stuff. It was something crazy. It was a really... Here we go. Commencing next month, the Fed is going to pull $1.1 million out of the market every minute. In September, it will ramp up to 2.2 million USD per minute. So for the next 3 months, they're going to pull $42 billion worth. After that, it's $90 billion per month. Coming out of the market, that's tightening. This is what's happening right now. The economy, everything, the Fed is tightening. Everything's tightening. And where this was fueled by rapid quantitative easing, the tightening is going to accelerate to the downside. That's just how I see it. So I don't see it being comparable to something like what happened in May or what happened in April, where we had a crash and then we moved back up. The conditions are completely different right now. We're moving into a world on the Bitcoin especially, where I know a lot of people like to say, you know, cycles rhyme. What's the saying? I can't even think right now. It's so hot in this room. Cycles don't repeat, they rhyme, right? Well, I don't think this cycle is comparable to any. And I think we're in a completely different cycle because the circumstances are completely different. That's just how I see it. So who knows what happens with Bitcoin? I mean, if you would go by history, and if tightening is going to force Bitcoin down, I'm looking at the 200 weekly MA. I mean, we've seen it once, 2, 3, 4 times. But, like I just said, cycles don't repeat, they rhyme. I think we're in a new cycle. Who's to say that this will hold this time? Who's to say? I'm not here to be super bearish. I'm just putting the question out there. We're in completely different times right now. This is a new era. This is a new cycle. Not like anything that's come before it. We didn't get the blow off top, and I don't think we're going to get the big capitulation candles either. But who knows how low this goes? Who knows? We're in uncharted waters right now. That's how I see it. So to answer your question shortly, the FY beats, I don't really see it being comparable to what happened before. I don't think this is a quick fix, put it that way. I put a tweet out the other day. Let's see if we can find that as well. Sometimes I forget just how long ago it was that I tweeted something. Here we go. If you weren't in crypto around 2018, now you know what 2018 felt like. And I had a lot of people replying saying 2018 was worse. 2018 was worse. Here, look, way worse. Not there yet. But it's not to say that this is worse. It's to say that this is what it felt like. This is exactly what it felt like. What you're feeling today, if you're new into crypto and you came in 2020 when everything started going crazy and started going up, and you're new here, this is a new experience for you. What's happening now? When you see all of this red on these charts, when you're seeing minus 80%, minus 20%, 40%, blah, 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 blah. This is brand new for you. This is what it felt like in 2018. It was just a brutal, brutal downside that lasted for a long fucking time. This is 2018 right here. Every single pump was destroyed. Every single relief was destroyed. And it just kept happening. It kept happening again and again. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it got worse. And this is on Bitcoin. But if you look at the charts of altcoins, and I guess Ethereum was kind of seen as that at the time. It's kind of matured a lot, I would say. This is what every chart looked like in 2018. it was just brutal. It was just downside after downside after downside. And then we had the bottom, the Adam and Eve there. That's what 2018 felt like. This was common in 2018. This happened again and again and again. And if you went through it, today, like charts, the movements of the last couple of days are not really a surprise to you. But this is what it feels like, guys. When you're in a bear market, this is the bear market feeling. And the best thing you can do, if you're not cut for it, if you still got some capital left, either put it to work or sit on it or get the fuck out if you can't handle the emotions. But this is it, man. This is crypto. This is the dark side of crypto that not many will tell you about when you're first getting into it. And I feel like you learn so much more in a bear market than you learn in a bull market. Yeah, I've got some people in the chat saying this is their first bear market. Exactly. After seeing what happened to Luna, it can happen to any coin. That's true. Who would have thought at the start of the week that Luna, when Luna was $70, who would have thought that in a couple of days it would have gone below $1? You would have thought that that person was smoking crack. If someone had come to you and said, mate, sell Luna because it's going to be below $1 by the end of the week, you would have said, mate, shut the fuck up, put yourself in a mental asylum, you're chatting shit. But that is what happened. If it can happen to Luna, Luna was a top 10 coin, remember, at the start of this week. Where is Luna right now? I'm going up. I feel like I should be going down. Yep. We went the wrong way. No way is it outside the top 100. Am I being dumb? Am I missing this? I can't find it. Oh shit. Oh, we're up here, look. So briefly we went outside the top 50 though. But Luna was a top 10 coin. I mean, if it can happen to Luna, it can happen to any coin. A lot of people expected this to happen with XRP, with the kind of death spiral narrative. But it's still clinging on. A lot of people, I know a lot of people who are very, very bullish on XRP. I'm not myself, but I know a lot of people who are. What else we got in the chat? If you got any questions, guys, just ask questions. You know, like I know I'm rambling, but if you've got questions, just let me know. Luna is actually up quite a bit from its bottom here. I'll have a look on the hourly. Yeah, look at that. Nice little tweezer. See if we can get above $9. Be nice, wouldn't it? So let's have a look at the chat. A0 is so strong. Yeah, I'm not so sure. I actually think it did go below $1. I think most coins are just getting caught up in it. What the trend really looked like, a lot of layer 1 solutions were getting caught up in it. Were exactly like we had AVAX, we had Near with the big wick, we've had Hafa, Cadena, A0 as well. This chart is not correct because it's some reason it's broke on TradingView. Yeah, I think A0 went below $1 as well. Let's have a look at the chat. Don't dump on crypto. Elon Musk needs to finance his dreams of being the first person buried on Mars. I heard today that Elon Musk was going to bring Donald Trump back to Twitter. That's crazy. That's going to upset a lot of people. I kind of agree with what he's saying though. You know, like if you want to be truly neutral, you have to upset both sides. So I kind of get that. After seeing Luna, can happen to anyone. Jamie says, I am somewhat new, but I followed good accounts and their advice on taking profits. So I think I'm in good shape. Whatever happens from here, that's good. That's good for you. Very, very good, Jam. Is it Jamie? I think this is also, you know, I hate being called an influencer. Like, I fucking despise it. Like, I don't see... How I see it is I tweet. Like, I put my thoughts out on Twitter because I like putting my thoughts out, and then other people read it. That's it. That's how I see it. Like, if they follow me, cool. They don't have to follow me, but don't listen to me. Like, I'm just putting my thoughts out there. It's up to you if you want to follow that or not. That's cool. That's completely up to you. But then, you know, you get labeled as like, oh, you're an influencer, and like you want to or are trying to influence people, and it's just like, I'm just putting my thoughts out there, man. Like, that's it. You know, like what people do with that information is up to them. But you get labeled as this kind of like this influencer brush, and I fucking hate it, man. So you're not trying to really give advice. You're just kind of filtering out the shit, I guess. You know, Ponzi schemes are brilliant. Well, Zoquan. I'm not saying that Luna is a Ponzi, by the way. I think this was an exploit in their mechanisms. Came here for some hopium. We'll leave crying. Sorry about that, Beats. OHM was the Degens Ponzi. Luna was the normies Ponzi. I think that's what's so crazy about Luna. I mean, it's the fact that it got so high and crushed this hard. Like this has happened to other projects like OHM and other kind of algorithmic stable coins, but not to this high degree, not to this with this sort of attention. You know, this is really incredible. I don't think I've seen something this brutal in my entire time in crypto, to be honest with you. To have something such high value in the top 10 that was so highly regarded to crash this hard, I can't think of anything like that that's happened in my time in crypto. Really fucking insane. Crypto is the grandest Ponzi scheme ever invented. We'll find out. Jammy's crying. Moderator hater, it's on the upswing. You know how Ponzi schemes work. Wow, a lot of people calling crypto Ponzi's right now. It's only worth your money, but it's better. Let's talk Quant. What do you want to talk about? Ask about Quant. Talk about your favorite coin, Quant. We'll talk about Quant in a bit. Brought for 20,000 Luna at 68 cents. Did you? Did you actually? No, you didn't. That's like... Didn't even go that low, you liar. I'm calling bullshit on that. But if you did, you're an absolute gangster. But I'm calling bullshit on that. Is there any competitor to blockchain tech in the future? I mean, it hasn't been invented yet, but I know a lot of people like DAGs. You like DAGs. And its real worth comes from randomly moving around on a chart. SEC coming. I think that's the thing. Let's talk about that, because like the thing about Doquan. I mean, let's have a look. We got our Discord here, so you know, if you want to join the Discord, go for it. You'll find it on my profile, my Twitter profile. We just chat and chill out every other day and whatnot. But the thing about what's really kind of rubbed me up the wrong way with Luna, I would say, for the past, I don't know, I'd say this year, I guess, right? Because I did own a decent amount of Luna. I sold a lot of it when it went above $60 on the first run up. So we can kind of have a look at that, I guess. What are we on? This one. So let's have a look at it on the charts. It was a lot of this move. It was around 55. I think I sold. It was around this area. I sold a lot of it here. We just had these big moves up, and then we had the last big move, and I thought that was it. I sold a lot of my Luna around here. I didn't get anywhere near these prices, the $90, the $100. Missed all of that, but sold it along because I got in around $2.50. I was pretty early. It was around $2, I think, and made good profit. And I sold a lot of it. And I think a lot of the reasons why I got rubbed up the wrong way was how Do Kwon was actually communicating online. Like he got very, very. It's like his whole demeanor changed. It's like it went to his head, kind of thing. He had this kind of god complex. It's kind of like, and I've seen this in other CEOs. This kind of like, their manifestation, their you know, people are talking them up in such a way, and they kind of believe that hype. And it's stuff like this, you know, like I don't remember reading this at the time, but there was a lot of this around the time where he was kind of calling people retards, calling people idiots, and then there was a lot of like talking about like, I'll stay poor because you're not investing in Luna and stuff like that. And I just don't like that shit. Like, that rubbed me up the wrong way. And I've seen it in other projects. Some people maybe even know what I'm talking about. But I don't like that shit. And it seemed like he was a little bit, I wouldn't say unhinged, because everything was going good at the time. But you could tell his demeanor changed. Like, his demeanor changed a lot. And I didn't quite like that. And I think that a lot of these tweets that he's been putting out have aged terribly. Yeah, they've aged terribly. I don't know what to make of this. Like, Do Kwon knew it was coming. Terraform Labs Korea was dissolved on April 30th. So I guess what they're saying is that Do Kwon knew this was coming, so he dissolved the company, and that's how you wrap up the Ponzi and make off with all your money. I don't quite believe that. I think that, I just don't quite believe that. I kind of feel like that's just maybe an admin thing where, you know, they may be moving to a different country or something like that. But yeah, I forgot. I lost my train of thought there. What the fuck was I even saying then? Jesus, I'm such a rambler, man. Like, my brain goes from one thing to the next all the time. Let's go back to the chat. Jamie, my question is, what happens with NEAR and its USN equivalent now? Going to be hard to shake the algo stablecoin agendas now. I mean, the problem is that this has had such a lot of attention on it that, you know, like you saw Janet Yellen talking about UST the other day, that there's going to be a lot of scrutiny now on algorithmic stablecoins. And maybe that was the fucking point. Who the fuck knows, man? Maybe that was the point. But there's going to be a lot of eyes on this now. And I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing people kind of stepping back from the algorithmic stablecoin angle. You know, I don't think that's for the best. I think you just got to figure it out. But, or maybe there's something completely new. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of people kind of stepping back or shutting up a little bit about it. For better, for worse, you know. Dread, thoughts on ZCX at the moment? I mean, like everything else at the moment, being absolutely crushed. It already been on a terrible time. It's been having an absolute terrible time. And we're just making new lows after new lows. So nothing too exciting really in terms of price. In terms of the actual project itself, you know, like, they're building away, you know, and that's all you can look for when you're in a bear market or in bearish conditions. It's looking for the guys who are building towards the next bull market, I guess. And that's what they're doing at the moment with DMAS, with the Unison bridge. Looks like ZCX pair is being launched on their centralized exchange, and then from that, it looks like we're going to get the rollout that we wanted from the centralized exchanges. So the pairs being added, and then you're going to get the which was the Tournament of Alts winner, which was Constellation, I believe, starting to get that stuff added, and the DMAS projects added to the exchange, and then you start getting the kind of the better projects and the more unique projects listed on the exchange. But I think that's probably going to start happening now. But just terrible timing, like terrible timing. Unison have had terrible timing on a lot of this stuff, and they're not to blame. They know that. They fucked up on some product launches, you know. DMAS product launch was fucked up. The centralized exchange launch was fucked up. Unison bridge was not. That was smooth as eggs. So yeah, building. It's the same thing with Balance Zero. It's the same thing with Quant. A lot of these projects, when you look at it by their price, fucked. You would say they're fucked, and that's it for the projects. But these guys are building, man. It doesn't matter what the price is. They built when price was $1. They built when price was 400, and they're still building now. They just build. And that's why I feel like you have to back projects with real utility, because one day that will be baked into the price. But right now there's just bigger forces at play that are controlling everything. Excuse me, that was a nice little burp. What we got? God, we got a lot of going on in the chat. Sorry, I'm gonna have to go back up. Loving the rambling. Well, my wife doesn't like the rambling, and I don't think a lot of people like the rambling, but thank you for saying that. So graft a lot. Alliance block is so damn cheap. So look, I haven't looked at Alliance block in a... Jesus, motherfucker. Whoa. Yeah, man. I mean, we've already... Jesus Christ, fuck me. Alliance block has been fucking battered, right? Let's go on the weekly. Yeah, man. That don't look good, right? What was it at its height? $1.30. And we're all the way down to 10 cents. My fucking god, man. Alliance block. Obviously been a lot of FUD around the fact that the team's selling tokens and that they pay... Well, not the team that are selling tokens, but they pay their employees in tokens. And then, obviously, they get sold. So there's downward pressure from that. And there's just a lot of FUD around that. In terms of, like, products, Alliance block... I really fucking like Alliance block. Like, I like it in terms of, like, the products that they build. You go look at their roadmap. Let's have a look at their roadmap, shall we? They build, like, animals. Right, I haven't done this in a while. Where is it? About roadmap? I mean, you want to look at a roadmap. Like, every single one of these is a pretty big deal, I would say. So we've had, where are we? 2020, 2020. So look, all of this. Look at this shit, man. Partnerships and products and releases and launches. I mean, Alliance block are building a lot, and they just keep building and keep building and keep building. Adding the NFT bridge and stuff like that. But you look at the price and you would say, fuck, man, no. And I don't really know what the answer is around that. I mean, is the fact that there's just too much selling pressure from the team and stuff? I don't know. I haven't looked into it enough, to be honest with you. But if we still get more downside, don't be surprised if we're getting down to these levels. But yeah, that's pretty fucking bad, man. I did not expect Alliance block to be been crashed that much. But I expect Alliance block to do well long term, to be honest with you. Like, I do. I really like the team. And they are builders, like they build shit, and they're an important project within TradFi, within bridging TradFi and DeFi, and yeah, I hope this is. I hope people who brought up here are okay. I pronounce it Jamie. Okay, so I was calling you Jammy, like a Jammy Dodger. I pronounce it Jamie, but it's cool. Friends call me Jammy. There you go, Jammy. Love finally hearing my favourite influencer's voice for the first time. Aww, isn't that cute? So sweet. Moxie should delay launch till later this year. So I don't really know a lot about Moxie. Like, I know there are people who talk about Moxie. I've got friends who are in Moxie. Okay, well, this isn't. Let's have a look at Moxie, I guess. Is it Moxie Club? This looks it. This looks right. This is a crypto project. So I've got some friends who are in Moxie, who are invested in kind of the private sale and early rounds, and they seem to like it. I haven't really looked into it too much. Maybe I should, but crypto gaming project, who knows, man? Who knows? I know my friends, well, I say friends, like work acquaintances, I guess, even if you can call this work, are very hot on Moxie, but for me, not so much. I haven't really looked into it. Every Ponzi scheme starts with "it is cheap." That's true. That is true. What else we got? Nobody starts a Ponzi scheme saying this will cost a lot of money. That is also true. What coins do you think will do well in the bear market? Jesus fucking Christ, don't ask me difficult questions like that, man. Put me on the fucking spot. I don't have all the answers, man. Like, just to be real with you, like, I can sit here and give you my opinions, but fuck, I can be completely wrong. Like, I would have said that the projects that do the best are the ones who have real projects, real utility, working with huge institutions, are connecting the legacy systems to crypto, because I don't believe in the whole crypto is going to eat everything, and I believe there has to be some cohesion there. So I would have said stuff like Quant. I would have said Quant is kind of bear market proof, because there's real utility, and fuck, man, these institutions are going to be using the token, and because they're going to be using Overledger, so that means they're going to be using the Quant token, and the Quant token is central to the ecosystem, and all of this shit, right? And that in my mind would have meant that's bear market proof. But then you look at the charts, doesn't work that way. It just doesn't fucking work that way. And it sucks. It sucks. Because that's just my opinion. And obviously I've been wrong. Like 100% I've been wrong. Because it hasn't. It's just been completely correlated to the rest of the markets. Doesn't matter if there's institutions using it. And to be fair with Quant, we don't even fucking know, because we don't have a dashboard. We can't see what's locked up. We can't see any of that shit. But that would be the narrative, right? That these projects, these companies, these institutions, these governments are going to be using. And it's quite simple, really, if you break it down. So these institutions, companies, governments are going to be using Overledger, which is Quant Network's interoperability solution, right? And companies like Oracle, companies like SIA, companies like consortiums like LAC Chain, Hyperledger, a lot of these guys are going to be using Overledger. And to use Overledger, you have to use the Quant token. Quant token is central to the entire ecosystem, which means that Quant is going to be needed. So then you would expect that if the token is going to be needed, that you would be seeing huge buying pressure on the charts, right? It hasn't happened, and that's a kind of disconnect that I have. Like, one of those is Demetra, right? This is one of the things where, like, someone like me, when I'm right, I'll argue and plead my case. If I'm wrong, or if I get proven to be wrong, or if someone convinces me that I'm wrong, I'm not one to kind of just keep going and, just to feel like I'm right anyway. I'll hold my fucking hands up and say, yeah, man, I was fucking wrong on that. Like, shit. And I think that's healthy to do. You have to do that in life. And something like this, Demetra, is the case. It's 100% the case. Because, like I was explaining just then with Quant, the real world aspect of it, working with these huge companies, these governments, you would expect that to be baked in the price, right? And it hasn't happened. And with Demetra, in hindsight, tokenomics, not that great. But there is work being done on that, I believe. With Demetra, if you go look into Demetra, they're working with some huge countries. Not huge countries, but they are working with governments. They're working with a lot of governments around the world. And if you go look into their whole mission statement and everything, they have, I think I read it was like 18 million users of the platform by the end of the year, or the end of next year, or something like that. It's like nearly 20 million users of the platform. Now you read something like that and you think, wow, 20 million users is a fucking lot, man. Like, most crypto projects have nowhere near that. But it's not being baked into the price. And that's the issue I've been having recently with a lot of these projects. I back a lot of these projects based on like adoption and utility and a lot of that. It's the same reason why I really like Morpheus Network. Because you expect all these huge clients and companies to use the platform, which means it's going to be baked into the token. but it just doesn't seem like it's been happening. And that's something that I've been kind of wrestling with myself as well, like internally, you know, and maybe something that I have to kind of challenge myself and say, well, are you right on that? Are you correct on this analysis and the way you think about that? Because maybe you're not. Clearly it hasn't worked with Dimitra. Clearly it's not working with Quant. So is that right? Is that a right way to approach it? I don't know. I haven't got the answer yet. But it's something. It's kind of a challenge that I have to kind of ask myself, because I don't know what is right and what's wrong there. But that is how I was thinking about it. So when I was thinking, what's going to be bear market proof? It's going to be the projects that have real utility. It's going to be projects that have huge companies working with them, because they're going to put buying pressure on the token. But it hasn't worked out that way. So in terms of what will perform well in the bear market, I just don't know. To be honest with you, I just don't know. Clearly, when you look at this, not a lot. Not a lot at all. So who the fuck knows, man? Like, you'll get some outliers, but who knows? And what I tend to notice is, from the last bear market and the last bull market, is projects that weren't around during the previous bull market tended to do better in the bear market, because they launched in it. So they didn't have that big cycle, you know, the big blow off top. So maybe look out for projects that are launching within the bear market for opportunities. Maybe. Someone told me to look at Noya. Let's have a look at Noya. On the log chart, looks like it might be breaking some levels here. Some nice support here. We had support. Looks like we're breaking through that. I would look for this block here. 7 cents to 4 cents is just basically this block. If we don't find support at this block, we're going even lower. Let's just see what the bear market brings, I guess. What else we got? Good time to enter quant. Like it or not, events like this will hasten regulations. Again, kind of ties into what I said before. I like to back projects that I think once regulations come in, because there's no way around it. Regulations are coming, okay? And a lot of people think that that's a bad thing. Of course, it will have some dampening effects, but it will stop a lot of the people getting absolutely fucked. Because a lot of people will completely turn a blind eye to the fact that so many people in this space get fucked. They get rug pulled, they get this, that, and the other. Regulations kind of helps with a lot of that stuff. And I tend to back projects that I think will survive that regulatory uncertainty, I guess, or when that regulation hammer comes down. That's why I look at projects like Check. That's why I look at projects like Alex Zero. Why I look at projects like Dimitra or Quant or Unizen, because they kind of work towards regulation. So that's kind of the approach there, because yeah, regulations are coming, and you're seeing it with something like Luna. Once they start talking about that shit, Luna is doing really fucking well here, man. Shit. I mean, it's not doing very well, but we were down 98%. Now we're only down 88%. So amazing stuff. Oh look, the peg's coming back a little bit as well. 55 cents. We were down to 38 cents, was we not? 38 cents was 61%. Now we're back below 50%. Not bad. It's coming back. It's going the right way at the very, very least. And just saying that was $7, and that just, look how quickly that dumped. My fucking god, crypto, man. Never a dull day, eh? Never a dull day. SEC will what impact next 6 months? Not sure what that means. Ponzi schemes hate regulations. Ain't that the truth? You're doing a great job. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. How low do you think Bitcoin will go? So I might have already covered this, but we'll go over it again. I was looking at Bitcoin. I like to keep things very fucking simple. Okay. I'm not someone who puts a million indicators on the charts. I like to just keep things very clean and very clear and look for kind of patterns or areas, I guess. With me, it looked like I was looking at the 200 daily moving average. And once we had a reaction from this run up to 48 and we had a clear rejection, it was a sign for me that we were going to be retesting lower areas. The next area for me was the 3-day 200 MA, which has been quite respected over its time. We can see it here. We had a bounce here. We can go back even further, really. This is the 3-day chart. So we had support here. We had a breakthrough. We had a rejection, slight rejection, pullback once it touched the 3-day 200 SMA. Then we had a breakout. Then we had another support found on the moving average. Huge bull market. You could see it really respected it here. But once we had a breakthrough, we had a retest there. It's a little slight one. You can maybe see it. We had a little slight retest. Then we had a big breakdown as well. Same thing here. We had a break above this huge wick. Could kind of call it a retest, I guess. We had support here, big breakdown. Had a bit of resistance around it. Then we had the big breakthrough. So this 3-day 200 moving average was quite important to me. And once we broke the daily, I looked towards the 3-day. And then we found support. We found support. We found support. We found support. Then we had the breakthrough. And once we had the breakthrough, I wanted to look for the retest. And we had 2 days where it retested on the 3-day. And then we had a breakdown. And once we retested that and started breaking down, for me, it was all about the channel. And I put this in a tweet. I can't remember what exact words were on the tweet because I can't even remember what I had for dinner last night. So I don't remember what that said. But I was looking towards the channel. Once we lost the 3-day and we retested it, for me, it was simple. We went to the channel. And once we went to the channel, it was all about, do we break it? Do we break the channel? Or do we find some nice support like we have before? I had my doubts at this point because we'd already tested it so many times. But the channel, that's what I looked for. And once we broke the channel, for me, I couldn't see any support anywhere. You look on the weekly chart, once we broke the channel, I guess you would kind of look at these wicks down here, the 30k area, and we are seeing some support at the 30k area. But if the 30k area doesn't hold, then I don't see anything to indicate that we're not going as low as low 20s. So if we're going low 20s, then we have to look for an area of support. Now you look at the weekly 200 moving average. It's rock solid, man. Like, it's rock solid. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4 support, and every single time it hit it. So we hit it because we can call this it here. Once we went into an oversold areas on the RSI, we formed at the bottom of that bear market. Same thing happened here. Found the 200 MA. Bottom, weekly oversold, found the bottom of the bear market. Now we're getting into areas where this is pushing towards the lower band here, where we're looking at the 200 moving average and possibly oversold areas. If that happens and we get that set up again, to me, that would be the indication of maybe seeing the market bottom, because we would see an oversold areas. And of course, if something goes oversold, it can go more oversold and it can stay oversold for a long time. But just judging by its history, which kind of goes against what I said earlier about the fact that I think this is a completely new cycle, but this is kind of what I'm looking at. First, it was the daily break, 3-day break, look at the channel, break, look lower, can't see any support, any areas here. So then you're looking at the 200 weekly moving average, which is around 20, will probably be around 22.5, 23k, I guess, by the time we get down there. So that would be what I'm looking at personally. If we break that, I guess then you're looking at the previous top, but let's not even think about that right now. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Huh? I've got to go in a minute because I've got to go shopping. But my wife just came in and went, are you going to be long? Because we've got to fucking go do some shopping. So I'm going to cut it short in a minute. We'll give it another 5 minutes. Another 5 minutes. But that's what I'm looking at. I'm kind of looking at the fact that we've lost all of these channels. We've lost these bands. We've lost these moving averages. We're probably going lower. This is looking more like a bear market setup now. So let's look lower. Maybe we don't get that low. Maybe we don't even break down below 28k again. Who knows? But that's kind of what I'm looking at. We've got a lot of people who have asked questions and said stuff. So I'll try and get through them quick. Good snatch reference. What? DAX. Do you like DAX? I love your tweets. Very informative. Shows me tokens I would never have heard about. Look, that's all I can do. Okay? With what I do on Twitter, and if you want to follow me, you don't know who the fuck I am. This is my Twitter. That's all I can do. All I can do is just talk about projects that I like, and you can look into it. And if you like it, cool, maybe you invest. If you don't like it, don't invest. It doesn't make any fucking difference to my life if you invest in something or don't invest in something. And I would hate for you to buy something based on the fact that I'm talking about it. But maybe I'm bringing you a project that you eventually do like. Maybe it filters out some of the crap, because there's a lot of shit in crypto. So that's kind of why. That's kind of why we do it. But appreciate that. Thank you very much. Are you buying anything now? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I think, like I said earlier, this is a risky market to play right now. I think we're catching knives rather than finding bottoms. And if this plays out, then I think alts go lower. If this plays out, I just think they go lower, even though they've been crashed. I mean, you look at 2018 on a lot of these things. I mean, a lot of alts went down 90, 95%. You look at Ethereum. Ethereum alone went down. And I don't expect Ethereum to perform exactly the same as it does this time, because I do believe Ethereum is a lot more mature. But even Ethereum went down 95%. And you can see this across so many... it won't be on Binance, will it? You stupid man. Ethereum, not Ethereum, Ripple, huge run up, 95, 94%. And these were the biggest projects in the space at the time. So a lot of these projects, if we're going into low 20s with Bitcoin and we're seeing that huge retracement, then you're expecting a lot of these projects to go even lower than they already are. Which I don't feel good saying that shit, but like that's kind of how I see it. So I'm willing to be patient in this market. I'm willing to wait and see what happens here. I'm not interested in just trying to snap a bottom and get lucky. I'm looking to try and time this just right and be patient. So if we do get this breakdown, I think alts go a lot lower, which means I would like to buy alts a lot lower. If we get the support here and I see serious support and I see a regain of this channel and this is essentially a fake out, then maybe it's time to buy back into alts. It all really depends on what happens. I need the markets to give me more data, basically, before I start buying. He was so cocky. I was cocky? How dare you? How fucking dare you? Oh, you're talking about Do Kwon. Sorry. I thought you were talking about me. He was cocky. Everyone keeps saying Danny from Wonderland. I don't actually know. Was that Time? Was Wonderland Time? Or was that OHM? I didn't get involved in any of that shit. I just looked at it and went, I don't want anything to do with this, and I just turned around. So I'm guessing Danny might be the CEO of one of these projects. MIM still retained. I actually saw something the other day. It was a tweet someone put up, and it was the biggest breaks below their peg for every stablecoin, and MIM actually performed the best. I don't know if that's because is it new? I don't actually know. He went full Justin Sun. Look, there's some serious comparisons there, based on the last market. Interested to get your thoughts on CSPR. I see a lot of potential, so I've been loading up. I don't know anything about CSPR, I'll be honest with you, so that's my opinion. I don't know anything about it. Maybe someone could tell me about it. How do you feel about Phantom? I have no real thoughts on Phantom, to be honest with you. Didn't Andre leave recently? That's all I know about it, really. I don't really know a lot about Phantom, so I can't speak to it at all. I stay in my lane. Okay, guys? I stay in my lane. Peter Schiff is in his absolute element at the moment. That's true. How's gold doing? Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I mean, not great, but not too bad. Where are we? Down from the top area, really. Yeah, gold's doing good. But that's always the the safe haven, right? That's what people believe. Obviously, he's having a fucking field day with all this shit, and maybe he was right. Who the fuck knows? Maybe we were all wrong. All of you were wrong, and Peter Schiff was right. Who the fuck knows? So once their token distribution is done and their products are ready to be utilized, is when buying pressure and real price action actually begins. For Alliance block, okay. Yeah, I kind of feel that with a lot of these projects. At some point they will have their day. I have no doubts. When that day comes and how long it takes, who the fuck knows? But to get to that point, you're going to take some, you're going to take some bruises. You're going to get some bruises. You're going to get battered a bit. And that's just crypto, right? Are you still bullish on HTR? There's so much FUD over nano contracts and how they never address concerns from the community. You just answered the question right there. You just answered it. I like Hafer. I liked it a lot more than I do now. I think their delays of nano contracts is an issue. It's been delayed a lot. How is Hafer doing right now? I'm guessing not well. Yeah. Full retracement. That is a complete full retracement there. Insane. I first bought Hafer around 10 cents OTC because it was on the OTC market for quite a while. Obviously, it had a good time, and I sold above $1. But Hafer is one of those projects that I want to do well. Like, I want it. I like the Hafer Green stuff. I like a lot of what they're doing. But to get nano contracts done, like, get them done. What I didn't like, and I think this was a time that I really, it rubbed me up the wrong way, was they were focusing on nano contracts, and then their NFT hype happened, right? Everything started being NFTs. And they completely, it seemed like from the outside, maybe they didn't, but it seemed like from the outside, they had completely pivoted from nano contracts to focusing on the NFTs. It was all about NFTs at that point. And maybe that's where they thought the adoption would come from. I don't know. But from my perspective, I didn't like that. Like, nano contracts are really fucking important for the project. And they keep getting delayed and they keep getting pushed back. And it looked like they just kind of disregarded them to an extent to focus on NFTs. And I didn't like it. So I hope Hafer can get nano contracts out the door. I hope they can start communicating developments better, because they don't have to be a fucking cheerleader for the community. Just start putting your developments out there. Start talking more about your developments. Start getting the community a bit more excited. Obviously, right now the market's shit anyway. So use this time to build. Get your fucking nano contracts done. That's my hope. That is my hope. And look, it's new, groundbreaking technology. I understand that it's not easy to build and it takes time. But yeah, I hope they do more. And kind of being a bit closer and seeing what the Aleph Zero team are doing. I see a team there who are rock stars, like absolute rock stars, and they are getting shit out the door quick. They had what was it? I can't remember what month it is, but one month they had mainnet out the door. The next month they got staking out the door. Next month's smart contracts are getting out the door. Then they're going to get their decentralized exchange common out the door. And it seems like every month a new huge release, and they're just building, and they're executing. And that's the problem with Hafer. I don't feel like they're executing. So that's where my problems come with Hafer. I hope they do well. I don't own any anymore, but I hope they do well. And that's not to say other people shouldn't or should. Other people probably know way more about what's going on than I do. But that's just kind of my perspective. I haven't looked too much into what they're doing recently. So maybe there are developments on nano contracts. I don't know. Paul Us just says Quant Network. So take that as you will. There have been large amounts of quant being brought off exchanges then straight to cold wallets, only holding large amounts of quant. Maybe businesses ready to use overledger. Price action says otherwise. Again, that's kind of it. Like quant on exchanges hits all-time lows all the time, and I think people really fucking forget just how scarce quant is. Like the quant token is super fucking scarce, way less than Bitcoin, and you would assume that the usage and the utility of the token is going to make it even more scarce over time. But it's just not being baked into the price yet. And that's where this kind of mental gymnastics in my head where I feel like, why is that? Why is that? So maybe you're right. Maybe they've just been sitting in cold wallets and then one day they're going to turn that switch on and then you're going to see it. I made more money in 1 hour than I made in past 5 months. Well, fucking gangster. Well done, son. Love the vibes here. Subscribing right now. Oh, thank you. Really enjoyed the content, brother. One of my favourite follows on Twitter, now YouTube. Well, I appreciate the love, guys. I appreciate that. It was a bit of a rambly session. I thought I'd just do a quick one before I went shopping, but we went quite long, actually. So I appreciate everyone sticking around. Look, the market's a shit right now, guys. Okay? But it turns. At some point, this comes to an end. Okay? Don't know when. Don't know how bad it's going to get. But it will come to an end. People went through this shit here in 2014 and felt like what you're feeling right now during these periods here. And it got worse. And they felt worse. But it ended. This is what I'm saying. We formed the bottom. And then we had the next cycle. The next cycle will always come. And we're just waiting now for the bottom to form for the next cycle. Same thing happened here. We had a lot of downside. Then we had the capitulation. Then we had the bottom formed. Then we had the next cycle. This is a deviation because of COVID. I expected this cycle to kind of be more like that. But we had COVID, which kind of fucked things up. But the next cycle always comes. You're feeling what these people felt here, what these people felt here. But look, you look on larger time frames. God's sake, stop it. Trading view. It's up. So even if we come all the way down to your 20s, or look, even worse, we come down to the previous top. Okay. Over time, very fucking simply put, the next cycle is there. So as shit as you feel right now, and I get it, I've been through it, I feel it as well. You look on longer time frames and realize what you're invested in and pick winners, not just winners in terms of price. It's picking winners in terms of, who's building something that is going to fundamentally change the game, like this bad boy. And hopefully that'll be baked into the price. That's what we're all gambling on, right? So I know you're feeling like shit, guys, but keep your chins up. And maybe we'll do this a bit more often. We'll have a little chat. You can ask us questions. I really enjoyed it. Went for way longer than I thought. But I am being summoned by my family to go shopping. So I hope everyone has a good rest of the day. I hope the charts turn a little bit. And we'll speak next time. So thank you very much. And bye.